Hi gang, are we good? I hope we're good. I'm okay-ish, kind of. Video though. That's very well timed. I've always loved like the start of like 0-1 with that, big title screen. Like the first time I played this game, it was just like really cool, like really like in your face, and like it surprised me so much. It shouldn't have, because like it was such an obvious build up, but I don't know. I thought it was really, really cool. News. This is important. To anyone who'd like the three people who saw my video about like mental health and like my feelings for the person who I'm very close friends with. I mean, it's not good news. I made it sound good. I mean, it's not bad. I don't know. It's weird news. I don't know. Like for the past few days, ever since I made that video and kind of like had a retrospect on it, I've been in a weird state where I'm like, I don't know. So basically, like anyone who doesn't know, which is most people, the situation is that we're really, 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 really close friends. And I really care for her, and I think she cares for me, because like, yeah, she's someone I can talk to about things I could never talk to anyone else about, and vice versa. I hope for her at least. Fuck, don't die. Okay, it's fine. And I have feelings for her, which is kind of, it sucks because there's a lot of guilt that comes with that, and a lot of I know she doesn't have the, well, I can only guess, but I'm fairly certain that she doesn't have feelings in return for me, which is fine. But like, I think again, there's a lot of guilt for like, the relationship. And ever since I made that video, it's just been getting more complicated, because I talked about in my last one about that, that I didn't want like, the feelings, because obviously it made our relationship a lot more complicated for me to deal with and for me to like reconcile. And now, like, because I've been doing this thing where I like try and suppress those feelings just so I stop feeling them, I'm just in a really weird state where I don't know what my feelings are for her, which is in a way worse. Because like when I think about like, I don't know, her, I think about, I'm attracted to her, in more like, more than the physical way, just like, as a person, romantically, but also like now it's a bit like, I know like all the bad things that will come from me having those feelings, and now because of that, I think my brain has kind of like decided, okay, this is a bad thing, so you're not gonna have it. But now it's just like there are two parts of my brain fighting for very like opposite things, which is just really, really fucking confusing. I don't know. Yeah, it's not fun. I don't know. It's fine. I still care for her as a friend. Like, definitely, that hasn't changed at all. It's kind of made things a lot more confusing. And I'm seeing her in a few days, on the 20th. And also, there have been lots of things like going on with her specifically for like the past few days. Like yesterday, we yapped. Like we had a call. But before that, it was like, I don't know. She was acting strange. A lot of the time, I would suggest like calling for like the past week, and she would say, "Oh, she's busy." So then, like one time, I asked, and she said, "Oh, can we do it tomorrow?" Which would like be yesterday. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, of course." Sorry, that wouldn't be yesterday. That would be the day before yesterday. And she never, said anything, because I left it up to her, because I didn't want to keep being the one to suggest it, because that was kind of just humiliating. Not like severely humiliating, but I don't want to have that position in the relationship where I'm the one to always suggest things. And she never like messaged me about it, which is like, that's fine. So like, I get not wanting to do it, and like, I'm so fine with that. But it's more just the fact that she didn't tell me, and didn't communicate that. Anyway, I told her like, yeah, that, and then like she responded on like, oh, I can do it today. And I feel like I feel like she kind of missed the point, in that I wasn't annoyed that she didn't call me, more so that like, I wish she told me, or communicated. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being overly sensitive, because I worry sometimes I kind of do that thing where like a situation isn't as severe as it seems, and I kind of just overthink about it. And also a lot of time, I feel like a lot of people kind of like project their insecurities onto people, and like that person might not even like, she might not even be thinking of that as a bad thing, because her like values are in a different place, in that, to her it would be fine not to communicate that kind of thing, but to me that's more of an important thing. But like, the fact she doesn't know that isn't her fault necessarily. It's just I'm holding it in higher regards. So I don't know, there's a lot of like conflicting emotions with that. And then that kind of like, because of that whole thing, it's kind of made me a bit insecure in that like, because I overthink a lot and because I care about her so much and she's such a big part of my life, like doing that kind of thing is a lot more impactful than it usually would be for a normal friend. Also no damage. Hell yeah. Um, and I don't know, because of that, there's been a lot of like conflicts in my mind where I'm like, okay, she's kind of annoyed me, but at the same time, like, maybe I'm just annoyed because she means that much to me. And then maybe there's like an underlying thing where I'm annoyed because she's not reciprocating feelings I feel so like strongly, which is such a horrible thing, I recognize. I don't I hope that's not the case because I'm not consciously annoyed at her for that, obviously. um but it might be even an underlying frustration at myself for like harboring the feelings, which honestly I can see is more likely. Because I do feel extremely guilty for that. And I don't know. And then I feel like because of that, like when we did call yesterday, and we like yapped for like 4 hours on a call, which is like good. And like I had fun because like she's awesome to talk to. But then at the same time, I felt like it was different. I don't know. Like I was less open to talking about stuff, like more vulnerable stuff than I usually would with her. And then because of that, she kind of reciprocated that. And then it felt not stale because like I did really enjoy talking to her, and I think the same goes for her, for me. I don't know. It was just strange. Again, not stale, just a bit disconnected. And I think like if it was with a normal friend, it would be like completely fine and normal. But because we have such a close and like connected relationship, like our values really mesh really well, and like we can talk about things we could never talk with anyone else about. And that didn't really feel like the case of this call. But then again, maybe I know that's probably because, like, you know, all the conflict I've been talking about in my head. But part of me wonders that maybe that hasn't actually affected the call, and it's just affected how I perceive the call. And it wasn't actually weird. And if I asked her, she'd be like, no, it was fine. And it's just because I'm, like, have all this conflict, I'm, like, seeing things in a worse light. Which does really sound like me, to be honest. And just, yeah, I don't know. It's hard, man. I feel like I'm complaining about my life all the time on this fucking channel. I promise I'm not like, I enjoy my life. It's hard. And then also, like, recently I've been talking with another friend more openly. Not to the level that I would with this first friend who I have feelings for. But, like, we've been talking more closely about things, which I think is awesome. Yeah, and recently that person who I've been talking more with, she told me like I'm one of her best friends, and like it should have been obvious to me in hindsight, but like I feel like my brain like gaslights me into thinking otherwise, and because of that I was just like really, really surprised, and it was like a really nice moment, which I'm really glad I had with her. But then I had that moment like I don't know, 2 days before I had the call with this other friend. And then because of that, part of me is, like, fearing that, like, I don't know, I'm, like, drawing this comparison between the two, which I really don't want, because I want to retain, like, a special quality about, like, you know, mine and the person I have feelings for. You know, maybe I should just come up with fake names for these people at this point, because I'm just going, the person I have feelings for all the time. Okay, tell you what, fake names. I'm going to not do real-life names. I'm just going to do, like, the person I have feelings for is, I don't know, Nova. And the person who I'm getting closer with is Sun. There we go. Okay, those are good names. Yeah, and obviously, like, I don't want to, like, stop myself from developing a relationship with Sun. But, like, it's getting to the point where... Not getting to the point, it's just like I'm so paranoid about, like, the person I have feelings for, and because I care about them so much, I want to retain our friendship. And I think part of me, like, wanting to like, the paranoia of wanting to retain our friendship comes from, I don't know, the fear of them finding out I have feelings for them, and then that destroying our friendship, which is, like, yeah, that's a big fear for me. And then that's kind of feeding into it. And then obviously, like, I don't want to, like, stop myself from developing a further relationship with Sun. But because it's getting closer to the point where I'd have a similar relationship with Nova, it's that I don't want to, like, replace Nova. Because I care about her so deeply. And I don't, like, there's obviously a lot of paranoia that comes from, like, her, like, if she notices that I'm acting differently and then she like moves on, which is like fair, but also like I don't know, I like her as a person to hang out with and talk with outside of my romantic feelings for her. So it scares me a lot, and I feel like I have a lot of issues with like not attachment, just like the fear of losing people. I guess that is attachment actually. Hold on, but yeah, I don't know. It's scary. Relationships are fucking scary, man. And then also a lot of it comes from like the last time me and Nova like had a proper conversation. It was like probably one of our most like open and vulnerable conversations we've ever had, which was like such like it was honestly. I want to talk about that actually. That was one of the best experiences of my life, and I know how fucking dumb that sounds. Like it's a fucking conversation, but it was like really late at night, and like we were just really really open about a lot of like personal things that literally we could not tell anyone else about. And like I don't know, the me recognizing that I felt comfortable telling her those things, really like I don't know, it really made our relationship more special for me. And I feel like me realizing she could feel comfortable telling me those things. I don't think I've ever had like a relationship like that, honestly. Um, and it was just like I don't know, it was a really nice moment for me. And then that kind of went into like because of that, like the next week I spent it just like really like not like I don't know how to describe it. Obsessed is a horrible word. Like really passionate. No, that's also a horrible word. Yeah, just okay, sure. Really passionate about our relationship, not in a romantic way, just in a like I love this person, you know. And when I say love, it's not like a inherently romantic love. Like that is part of it, but like that was me realizing I have the platonic love for her, and it's just a really really special relationship. And then because of that, I feel like my brain does this thing sometimes where if I have a really really good experience with someone, like that, it would like try to draw the comparison where like the next time I see them or the next time we interact, it has to be like that or better, or it means the person has grown tired of you, or well, me in this case. Which I know isn't healthy. And then like I try to suppress those feelings because obviously they're unhealthy feelings, but it's also just like hard, you know? Like that's always going to be an underlying thing, even if I try to suppress it. And that's feeding it. Like all of these things are like I feel like I'm just complaining again, but like seriously, it is just a lot of stuff feeding in to make it like not awkward, just like me freaking out basically. Which I don't want because I want to like relax with her. I don't know. I really don't want her like her and me. All of this like basically comes down to like um I don't want us to lose the relationship we have now, where it's like we can't be as open or vulnerable with each other as we were that time, like where we had the really nice experience together. Which would be like that would like I know it's stupid because like okay, if we have such a close relationship, then surely like that wouldn't happen. Like because I'm so scared of it, and I have seen before like people like get into relationships and like they have experiences but then they like don't try hard enough to like try and retain those experiences. Just because, not for any like intrinsic reason, just because time moves on and like you get closer to other people and like, yeah, I don't know. It's just it scares me because that is like probably the nicest and like most close relationship and like something I really value in a relationship that I've never known I valued since having that kind of thing with her. And that makes it like so much more special to me, and that just makes it so much more scary. Like I don't want to lose that. And I'd like I called her like, again yesterday. And we talked about the things we usually talk about outside of like more vulnerable stuff. But then like I don't know, it wasn't like how we normally talk. But then maybe maybe I shouldn't compare it to that. I mean, we still had a fun time. I don't know. Part of me worries that like maybe I shouldn't be pushing to talk about vulnerable stuff every time we talk, like one on one, because I guess that's not healthy either. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I want her to know she can be vulnerable with me, you know? I don't want her to, like, fall back into being more closed off. Because she was like that once, and, like, I've enjoyed talking with her so much more like this. And something really weird, like, not weird, I mean, I get it. I mean, I'm glad she told me, because I would have been worried if she didn't tell me. Those were awesome coins, by the way. Is she, like, because I mentioned, I was getting stupidly paranoid that you and, like, this other friend were kind of annoyed at me, because, like, the next few times we saw each other, like, in a group setting, after we had the really close talk, like, vulnerable talk and thing, I felt like she was kind of closed off, but then part of me was also like, okay, are you being a fucking idiot right now and, like, projecting this because you're paranoid about losing that kind of thing again? So I talked to her about it, because I you know, we're close enough to talk about that kind of thing. And she basically said, oh yeah, like, she was feeling quite, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I get what she means, like, without describing it with words. It's like, because we had such a close, like, talk, like, she's never really had that with anyone else, I'm assuming. She kind of got scared in that, like, not scared, but, like, it was kind of an unknown territory. Like, she didn't know how to treat me as, like, just, like, a friend you would talk to, like, you know, have banter with, and just act like everything's normal after that, after you've been so vulnerable with someone, which I get. Like, I definitely get that. I think for me, I'm very different in that I can flip very quickly. But I'm guessing she's different, which is, like, obviously that makes sense. And, like, I'm glad, like, she told me that, and, like, I'm glad it's not because she's annoyed at me, but also, if that's the case, that kind of scares me. Like, I don't know, if we keep going in that direction, does that mean she will not be annoyed at me, but, like, you know, go in that direction where she doesn't know how to treat me as a friend, and then because of that, she doesn't want that, so she kind of falls back into not being so vulnerable with me, which is, like, really scary, because, I don't know, I really want to retain that. And, like, obviously it's not something I can control, and, like, I understand her acting like that. Like, it's such a, like, reasonable reaction. But I don't know, man. I really value how vulnerable we can be with each other, and I'd be, like, so really sad if we lost that. But I don't know. Part of me, like, I don't know where to take it from here, because, again, like, we had our call, and, like, part of me is also like, okay, if she was, like, saying she hadn't wanted to call for, like, that whole week when I was suggesting it, does that mean, like, I don't know, she's not as, like, not into her? That sounds, like, romantic. I mean, I am, like, into her, quote unquote. I kind of hate that phrase. But, like, does she not want to, like, interact as much? In which case, like, I don't know, should I stop trying to push it? Or should I, like, I don't know. Part of me is, like, wondering, should I tell her all of this? But then another part of me, like, okay, that might just make it worse. Like, that would be very, like, honest. And, like, I can be honest with her, like, super honest, but that would be, like, I don't know, if it would, like, freak her out. Okay, anyway, we can, like, I can talk about happy stuff, guys, I swear. I swear I don't talk about depressing stuff every single time on my channel. One happy thing is the video I did on mental health and, like, being a teenager. That was literally the title. I know, amazing title. That got, like, 50, like, right now, I think it's at, like, 57 views. That's so cool. Like, that's one of my, best performing videos in a while, and I know how fucking stupid that sounds, like, fucking 57 views. But, like, to me, that's a lot. Like, I said in that video, I think it was that video, like, even if I get one like, I really value that, because that means one person has gone out of their way to like the video, and, like, I entertain them. Like, I don't know, that's really cool to me, because that's kind of why I'm doing this, like, to entertain people, and, like, give them something to watch for a bit, because that's what I like. Like, I very much, like, make the content that I like to watch, which I think is a cool thing. That, like, I don't know, I can kind of recreate that on, like, even as, like, on such a rudimentary level. Like, I can recreate the kind of, like, media and entertainment I am passionate about, which is just, like, yapping, not necessarily playing a game, just yapping. I just think that's really cool. But anyway, the point is, like, yeah, 57 views, which is awesome, because even if they didn't like it, there's more chance for them to like it, and more people are open to, like, watching my thing, and that was, like, one of my favourite videos I've made, like, ever. So that's so awesome. Like 50, think about it, because like I feel like a lot of people lose sight of like the numbers on YouTube or just any social media. 57 people. Like imagine putting 57 people in a room. That is a lot of fucking people. And they've all in common watched the thing I fucking made. Like, that's crazy, you know? Like, I put art on, like, my friend group chat, and there's, like, 6 of them, and I get excited when 6 people see it. So it's just like, damn, 57 people? That's awesome. And, like, there's one person, and, like, they commented, and they said this was a good video, and I was like, damn, that's so fucking cool. Even if they didn't watch the whole thing, that's so fucking cool. Someone like watched it enough to think it was a good thing and like worthy of their time, and like I don't know, I made something someone enjoyed on the fucking internet from thousands of miles away. That's so awesome. I'm really glad I'm doing this YouTube thing, you know, even just to get like words out. I know that's like so cheesy, like get my feelings out. Also, that fucking sword trap is crazy. But like I don't know, I have like a place to get my words out and thoughts about stuff, like which is my friends, obviously. But like there are things like, you know, the stuff, everything I just talked about, like I could never talk to any of my friends with about, like obviously not her, because it's such a like it would be weird talking to someone so directly about the person you're talking to, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know, I think it's a really, I've said this before, more people should just make YouTube channels to yaff about like anything. Just make YouTube videos, man. Like it's such a cool part of society that like we have this like thing to express ourselves and like record like like the words outside of like, you know, the video use of the word records, but like record as in like, you know, records of stuff. Just like a massive diversity of things, like everything. Like I don't know, YouTube's so cool. You know, okay, I can talk about this. I feel like if this goes on to like Greed, we can go into Greed, I guess. I wanted to play Act 1 because again, I feel like I've said this before, Act 1 doesn't get enough love. Yeah, me and my friends, what's like the one Nova, who I was talking on a call with. So one thing we did talk about, which like again, I made it sound like we didn't talk about anything interesting. Like I did enjoy talking with her, and I think the same with her for me. But we talk like cringe culture basically, because it's really interesting. Like fandoms and stuff, how fandoms and like fandoms like subcultures within fandoms interact on social media specifically. Like social media has kind of like enabled this in that I don't know how to describe it. Like a lot of fandoms act in very similar ways that societies like throughout history have acted, and that's I don't know, that's such a cool like parallel if you think about it, because like a fandom, what's a fandom? It's a community of people with like the shared common factor of I don't know, the media they enjoy and are passionate about. Okay, what is a country? A country is a group and community of people who, with the shared common factor of, you know, living in the same community area, and like general societal systems in most cases. Like some countries are bigger than others, but like yeah, like I don't know, fandoms and like how social media enables like interaction between fandoms is a really like I don't know, I think it's a really like we talked about how it's a really cool like I don't know microcosm for culture and like human nature, and how like when I said cringe culture, I was talking about like the most popular piece of media or fandom becomes like the norm. Like she used football as an example, which is like in the UK is a very like, you know, football's football, like it's everywhere. Where it's like most people will know football, and because of that they'll be in this kind of like community, even like without knowing anything about the other person. You're inherently like interested in this other person, whereas there are much less people, for example, who play ultra kill, and it's like ultra kill will be seen as the cringe, because it's more niche and it's like less popularly known, and its community is fewer. Yeah, there's this kind of like interesting dominance where like the biggest community becomes the norm, and then like the smallest becomes the niche or the cringe, or what is considered taboo is the wrong word, but like you know what I mean, which is kind of where a lot of cringe comes from, like cringe culture. Like I don't know, watching kids shows as an adult could be considered cringe, because like that's a not that kids shows are a small community, but adults who enjoy kids shows, and it's perceived as like contrary to the purpose of a kids show, which is to entertain kids. No way. But it's like media is so diverse. Like, yeah. Anyway, we had a whole other yap about like small kids shows and how they should be treated as the norm, because like also, you know what, if we're talking about it, how a lot of like studios, cough Disney, before like after their Disney XP era of like the Owl House and Gravity Falls. Oh my god bless Gravity Falls. Which those shows kind of came down to the individual creator having so much passion and like carrying their show. But how a lot of cartoons and kids shows are kind of treated as lesser because they're made for kids. Like, not a lot of time and effort is put in because, you know, the kids won't notice. Whereas like when you have those shows that actually like they accommodate for the kids, but like they allow themselves to be more complex and progressive. Not progressive, progressive's the wrong word, but like complex and like actually, you know, passion is poured into them. Then they can be so powerful. And like, why shouldn't an adult enjoy that? Like, a kids show can be just as complex and multifaceted as a quote unquote adult show. Like, just because it has an age rating and they don't swear in it doesn't, you know, because it deals with topics that are not usually discussed with adults. I don't know, that doesn't make it inherently childish or naive. So yeah, I don't know. That was really interesting to talk about. And again, that kind of links to cringe, right? It's like, you know, it's this perceived notion of naivety in kids shows, because it's such a small subset of people who are older and they do enjoy like shows with the target demographic of, I don't know, kids. And I guess the same goes for like men who enjoy like My Little Pony and shit. My Little Pony is so good. Because it's like that small subset of people who are not the target demographic. But yeah, I don't know. We just found that really interesting. And like, we're really good at talking about stuff like that because we are like, our interests about those kind of things are quite similar. But again, none of that's really like, you know, personal or vulnerable. It's just kind of, it's still interesting because I have like no other friends I can kind of talk about that thing with, that kind of thing. So, you know, I'm still glad I have her for that, obviously. And then also, like, how fandoms will exclude other fandoms and, like, make, like, I don't know. For example, Has Been Hotel. Like, because Has Been Hotel, it's not niche. There are many issues. Like, I'm not denying there are issues with Has Been Hotel. I personally watch it, and I enjoy it. But it's interesting to see how, like, groups of people will, like, band together because of their hatred of something, like for Has Been Hotel, because that's a very prominent thing, and how that kind of parallels, you know, racism. I know it's such a stupid, like, comparison, and like one is much more serious of an issue, but if you think about it, racism comes from the fear of what is different and what is unknown. When you see like a foreign, like, you know, hundreds and thousands of years ago, when societies meshed and like, you know, what's it called? Industrial Revolution promised a lot of trade. Racism, a lot of it came about because of differences in culture and kind of the fear of culture. Because like obviously these societies hadn't meshed before, so they're going to have completely different societal structures. And it was the fear of what was different, and that kind of comes from like human nature of, you know, humans can be dangerous. Like, when we were apes, we had to be wary of opposing tribes because they could be dangerous, they could attack us, so there had to be that inherent kind of fear for our survival, evolutionarily. That, I'm not saying any of this to justify racism, by the way, I'm just explaining the mechanism behind racism, because obviously it doesn't justify anything. But anyway, the kind of similar principle can be applied to cringe culture, and like, where the fuck is the enemy, by the way? Hating fucking Has Been Hotel, because it's that difference in like media, because Has Been Hotel can be considered quite brave and morbid in its humor. Like, a lot of people treat it as like this unknown, despicable thing. And then it kind of becomes a snowball effect where they'll only pick out like the worst things of the show, and then that becomes like the public perception of the show. Then because people aren't educated in the show, they further, because it's the unknown, they've been promised this tale of like, it's, you know, how bad it is, and it kind of like that kind of parallels propaganda. And yeah, and then like because of that, without even watching the show, they make their assumption on their enjoyment of it, and so, you know, its quality and all of that kind of stuff. And then again, that's kind of reflective of like society and propaganda. Like if you look at 1950s America, like the racism and propaganda against the USSR and, you know, people living in Russia, and like how they were perceived as dangerous. And again, it was that unknown. They were perceived as dangerous. They had like backwards like values in their eyes, and, you know, the government obviously weaponized that. And I don't know, it's just really interesting parallels you can see in like human nature. Like this kind of shit doesn't just come from nowhere. Like there are constants, and I'm sure across history I'm less familiar with. I mean, there are obviously like racism has existed for like ever. And like cultural differences has existed since like the birth of humanity, so obviously, which is dumb, obviously. But, you know, it's just interesting to see that like constant in humanity. Anyway, I think that's my TED talk over. Because, I don't know, I don't want to finish all of Greed. I don't think I'm going to have much more to yap about. And I fucking hate 4-3. So, yeah, I don't know. Thank you for watching up to this point. That means so much. And yeah, okay, bye! なのにやっぱり君でも出ておくのぐとだ